You opened the bag telling yourself just one. You ate the whole thing, and somewhere between the third and the fourth handful, a voice in your head said, "What is wrong with you?" Nothing is wrong with you, but something is very wrong with what is in that bag. For most of human history, nobody counted calories. Nobody had a cheat day because there were no rules to cheat on. Nobody felt guilty after eating because eating was not a moral act. It was a biological one. Ancient humans were lean, strong, and metabolically healthy, not because they had more discipline than you, not because they tried harder, but because the world they lived in and the food it contained were built by the same process that built their bodies. Everything matched. The hardware and the software ran on the same operating system. And then, in the space of about 70 years, that operating system met something it had never encountered before, something it had no defense against, something that was specifically, deliberately, and profitably designed to make you eat more than your body was ever supposed to handle. Here is what nobody in the diet industry will ever tell you. The reason you cannot stop is not a character flaw. It is an engineering problem. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how it was engineered, who engineered it, and why your ancient brain never stood a chance. But first, you need to understand what food actually was for 300,000 years. Because what your body thinks food is, and what is sitting in your kitchen right now, are two completely different things. Ancient humans ate somewhere between 2 and 4 times per day on a good day. On a bad day, they ate nothing. Their diet was almost entirely whole foods: meat, fish, roots, tubers, berries, nuts, leaves. Nothing was processed. Nothing had ingredients. If it existed in nature, it was food. If it did not exist in nature, it did not exist at all. The human digestive system, the human hunger system, the human reward system, all of it evolved around this reality, not around choice, not around abundance, around scarcity. The gaps between meals were not intentional. They were not a wellness trend. They were simply what life was. You ate when there was food. You did not eat when there was not. And in those gaps, your body learned to do something extraordinary. It learned to wait, and it learned to store. In 1962, a geneticist named James Neel proposed what he called the thrifty gene hypothesis. The idea was simple and devastating. Neel suggested that human populations who survived periods of famine did so because they carried specific genetic variants that made them exceptionally good at storing fat during times of plenty. These variants told the body, when food is available, take everything you can, store it. You do not know when the next meal is coming. For 300,000 years, this was genius. This was survival. The individuals who stored fat most efficiently were the ones who made it through the winter, through the drought, through the failed hunt. They were the ones who lived long enough to have children. They were the ones whose genetic code is now inside you. Your body is not broken, it is optimized. Optimized for a world where food was rare, unpredictable, and always worth more than you needed right now. The problem is that world no longer exists, but your genes did not get the update. Here is the part that should make every diet guru go quiet. Your hunger does not have an off switch, not a reliable one, not one that works the way modern food is designed to interact with it. There is a hormone called leptin, sometimes called the satiety hormone, whose job is to tell your brain that you have eaten enough. But leptin evolved in a world where the foods that triggered it were nutrient-dense and calorically consistent. It did not evolve for foods engineered to provide maximum calories with minimum nutritional signal. In that environment, leptin's message gets drowned out. Your brain keeps waiting for the signal that enough has arrived. The signal never comes, so you keep eating. Not because you are weak, because you are working exactly as designed in an environment that was not part of the design. And then there is dopamine, the reward chemical, the one your brain releases when something good happens, when you find food, when you eat something sweet, when you consume something high in fat and sugar simultaneously. Dopamine is ancient. It evolved to make your ancestors pursue food aggressively because in a world of scarcity, aggressive food pursuit was what kept you alive. Every time your ancestors found a beehive or a fruit tree, their brain flooded with dopamine. It felt extraordinary. Because it was extraordinary, it was rare. That rarity was part of what made the reward so powerful. Now consider what food scientists at major corporations discovered in the 1980s and 1990s. They discovered that by combining specific ratios of fat, sugar, and salt, what researcher Howard Moskowitz called the bliss point, they could trigger dopamine responses in the human brain that were more intense and more consistent than almost anything a person could eat in nature. They were not accidentally creating addictive foods. The entire research program was designed to find the precise chemical combination that would make the ancient reward system of the human brain override the body's natural stopping signals. They found it, and then they put it in everything. Your bag of chips is not food in the way your body understands food. It is a dopamine delivery mechanism wearing the costume of food. And your brain, 300,000 years old, trained to pursue the exact chemical signals that bag produces, does not have a biological mechanism to resist it. Willpower is a cognitive function. Dopamine is a survival function. In direct competition, survival wins every time. But the hijacking of your reward system is only half the problem. The other half lives in your stress hormones. When ancient humans faced danger, a predator, a rival tribe, a sudden storm, their bodies released cortisol, the stress hormone. Among its many functions, cortisol signals the body to store fat, particularly around the abdomen. The reason is logical. If danger is near, famine might follow. Store everything you can right now. This response evolved for short, intense physical threats. It was never designed to run continuously. Modern humans live with chronically elevated cortisol, not because of predators, because of deadlines, because of debt, because of notifications, because of the low-grade, unending psychological stress that modern life produces in quantities the human nervous system was never built to handle. And the result, documented in research going back decades, is a body permanently in fat storage mode, permanently telling itself that scarcity is coming, permanently holding on to every calorie because the threat signal never turns off. You are not overeating because you are lazy. You are stress eating because your cortisol is telling your ancient body that winter is coming, and your dopamine system is telling it that the bag of chips is the most important thing that has happened today. Both of those signals are ancient. Both of them are rational. Neither of them was designed for this world. Researcher Kelly Brownell coined the term obesogenic environment in the 1990s to describe something that should be obvious but rarely gets said out loud. The modern environment is not neutral. It actively promotes weight gain. Every design decision, the placement of food in grocery stores, the size of portions in restaurants, the placement of vending machines in schools and offices, the advertising that targets children with ancient dopamine triggers before they are old enough to understand what is happening. Every single one of these decisions was made by someone who knew exactly how the ancient human brain responds to food cues. And they used that knowledge to sell more product. Your genome has not meaningfully changed in 10,000 years. What changed in the last 70 years is everything around you. The food supply, the food environment, the food industry, and its detailed scientific knowledge of your most ancient and most exploitable biological circuits. You did not fail the diet. The diet was never designed for a body like yours. No diet was, because no diet addresses the actual problem. The actual problem is that 300,000 years of evolution produced a brain and a body perfectly adapted for a world of scarcity, and then that brain and body were dropped without warning into a world of engineered abundance, where every product on every shelf was designed by scientists who understood your ancient hunger better than you do. You are not broken. You are ancient. And you are running ancient software in a world that was built to exploit it. So here's the question I want to leave you with. If food companies have known for decades exactly how to hijack the oldest survival circuits in the human brain and use that knowledge to engineer products that override your body's natural stopping signals, at what point does that stop being marketing and start being something else entirely? Think about that. And if this video made you see your relationship with food differently, subscribe. Because every week on this channel, we find one more thing you thought was your fault and show you exactly where it actually came from.